The Ramayana, translated into English prose from the original Sanskrit of Valmiki, edited and published by Manmatha Nath Dutt, 1891. Ramayana, Ayodhya Kanda, Section 14. When that sinful woman, seeing the descendant of Ikshvaku distressed on account of his son, and deprived of consciousness, and lying inert on the ground, spoke unto him, saying, having promised to grant me the boon, how distressed dost thou lie on the ground, as if thou didst commit some sin. It behoveth thee to keep untainted thy dignity by performing what thou hast promised. Truth, say persons cognizant of it, is the prime virtue. And it is in the interests of virtue, that I have been exhorting thee. Having promised his own person unto the hawk, that lord of earth, Saivya, having granted the same unto the bird, went the excellent way. In the same manner, Alaka, being asked, plucked out his eyes readily and bestowed them on a certain Brahmana versed in the Vedas. And the Lord of rivers, having promised, even on occasion of perverse, does not pass over his bounds for the sake of truth. The one-syllable Onkar signifying Brahma is the truth itself. In truth is established righteousness. Truth is the undecaying Vedas, and through truth people attain the foremost state. If thy mind is established in virtue, do thou then follow truth. Since, O excellent one, thou hast promised the boon, let that boon bear fruit. Do thou, incited by me with the view of maintaining virtue, banish Rama. Thrice, do I tell thee. If thou dost not fulfill this noble vow, O worshipful Lord, thou hast made unto me, forsaken by thee will I even in thy very presence renounce my life. Thus fearlessly urged by Kaikeyi, the king could not take off from himself the news of promise, even as Bali could not take off the news that had been fixed upon him by Upendra at the instance of Indra. Thereupon, the king looked blank, and his heart became agitated, like unto a beast of burden moving tortuously when placed within the yoke and wheels. Then calming himself with a great effort, the king, as if not seeing Kaikeyi, with his haggard eyes, addressed her, saying, I do here, O wicked wretch, renounce that hand of thine which I had held with mantras before the sacrificial fire, and I do also renounce along with thee own begotten thy son Bharata. O exalted one, the night has departed, and as soon as the sun rises, the superiors will surely urge me for installing Rama with the provisions that have been procured for the purpose. But if, O thou of auspicious ways, hinderest the installation of Rama, Rama will perform my funeral obsequies, when I am dead, and not thou accompanied by thy son shalt perform the same. That countenance of Rama which I have once seen expanded in delight, I shall never be able to behold bereft of joy and cheerfulness, and down, with melancholy clouding it. As the high-souled ruler of earth was speaking thus unto her, the night engarlanded with the moon and stars was succeeded by the morning. Then Kaikeyi of vile ways versed in speech, rendered senseless by wrath, again addressed the monarch in harsh language, saying, What words, O king, dost thou say, comparable unto poison or painful indispositions? It behoveth thee to summon hither thy son, the energetic Rama. Having established my son in the kingdom, and rendered Rama a ranger of the woods and made myself rid of rivals, I shall attain my end. Thus urged by Kaikeyi, the king like unto an excellent steed stung by a sharp goad, again spoke unto her, I have been bound fast by the ties of virtue, therefore have I lost my senses. I now only wish to behold my beloved eldest son, the righteous Rama. Vasishtha, exceedingly delighted, surrounded by great saints, saw at the gate of the charioteer of that great one, who at the same time was his counselor of gracious looks. Vasishtha, exceedingly delighted, surrounded by great saints, saw at the gate of the charioteer of that great one, who at the same time was his counselor of gracious looks. Therefore the highly energetic Vasishtha said unto the skillful son of the charioteer, Do thou speedily acquaint the mighty monarch that I have come. The foremost citizens and inhabitants of the provinces and the merchants with their retinue, all these and others, with hearts filled with joy, and mouths speaking pleasant words, stay with the sovereigns to witness the installation of Rama. Do thou urge expedition upon the mighty monarch, so that this day, under the influence of the Pushya star, Rama may obtain the kingdom. The foremost citizens and inhabitants of the provinces and the merchants with their retinue, all these and others, with hearts filled with joy, and mouths speaking pleasant words, stay with the sovereigns to witness the installation of Rama. Do thou urge expedition upon the mighty monarch, so that this day, under the influence of the Pushya star, Rama may obtain the kingdom. Hearing these words of his, the charioteer's son, possessed of mighty strength, eulogizing that powerful monarch, entered his quarters. And advanced in years, he had before this been granted free access everywhere, so that the warders, loved of the king and seeking his good, could not prevent his entrance. Not knowing the plight that had befallen the king, Sumantra, presenting himself before him, endeavored to gladden the latter with pleasing speech. And having entered the apartment of the king, the charioteer Sumantra, with clasped hands, pleasing the monarch as he proceeded, said, Do thou please us delightedly and with a glad heart, even as the strong ocean pleases people at the rising of the sun. The charioteer maturely used to him Indra at this season, and encouraged by that eulogy, he conquered the Danvas. Even so do I him thee. And even as the Vedas with the Angas and other lore indoctrinate the self-created Lord Brahma, so do I enlighten thee. As the sun in company with the moon enlightens the fair earth containing creatures, so do I today enlighten thee. Arise, O foremost of monarchs, clad in excellent attire and decked with ornaments, like unto the sun issuing from the Mount Meru. All the articles necessary for the installation of Rama are ready. And the citizens and the inhabitants of the provinces and the merchants stay with clasped hands. And the worshipful Vasishtha stays with the Brahmanas. Do thou, O king, immediately order the installation of Rama. Like unto catties without their keeper, like unto an army without its commander, like unto a night without the moon, like unto kings without their bull, is a kingdom without a king. Hearing these words of Sumantra, bland and appropriate, the Lord of Earth was afresh overwhelmed with grief. Then the graceful and virtuous king, waxing disconsolate, on account of his son, and with his eyes reddened with the effect of grief, seeing the charioteer, said, This eulogy of thine pains me the more. Hearing those sorrowful words and finding the Lord of Earth aggrieved thus, Sumantra with clasped hands went off a little. Seeing the king utterly incapable of speaking anything personally owing to his heavy sorrow, Kaikeyi, the best counselor in matters like these, addressed Sumantra with the following words, Sumantra, being elated with joy on account of Rama's installation, the king has kept up the whole night, and being tired therefore, is overpowered with sleep. Go ye therefore speedily, O charioteer, and bring Rama here, the praiseworthy son of king. This will do you good, do not hesitate in this. How can I go, replied Sumantra, without the permission of the king? Hearing these words of the counselor, the king spoke to him, Sumantra, bring the beautiful Rama here. I want to see him. Thinking that some good would accrue to Rama, he was pleased at heart and away he went speedily delighted at the royal mandate. Being asked again by Kaikeyi to hurry on at the time of departure, Sumantra thought within himself. Evident it is that the queen has become impatient to see Rama's installation and hence is the hurry and the king will now take rest. Thinking this, the energetic charioteer with great delight, intent on seeing Rama, issued out of the city like a lake near the ocean. Having come out of the presence of the king suddenly, he saw the warders, various citizens and great personages sitting at the gate. Section 15. The Brahmana, versed in Veda, the counselor, the commanders of military forces and the leading merchants, together with the royal priest, all brimming with joy on account of Rama's installation, were waiting at the royal gate all night long. On the appearance of the bright sun, on the approach of the day under the astral influence of Pushya and on the ascension of Kakata, the presiding star of Rama's birth, they brought all articles necessary for the installation and as ordered by the best of Brahmanas, namely, gold, earthen jar for preserving water, well ornamented excellent seats, chariot with a coverlet of splendid tiger skin, water brought from the sacred confluence of the Ganges and Jamuna, from other holy streams, lakes, wells, ponds and rivers full of water flowing in the east, over mountains, and from the north to the south, and waters brought from all the oceans, honey, curd, clarified butter, fried paddy, sacrificial grass, milk, flowers, 8 unmarried girls exquisitely beautiful, a mad elephant, gold and silver jars, adorned with fig leaves and lotuses and filled with holy water, a best yellow chori for Rama crested with jewels and resembling the bright rays of the moon. A brilliantly ornamented beautiful umbrella of yellow color, resembling the disk of the moon, and the most important of all the articles necessary for installation, a well-adorned yellow ox and horse, and all musical instruments, bringing these and all other things necessary for the installation of the descendants of Ikshvaku, in accordance with the king's permission, the panegyrists and other persons were assembled there. Not finding the king present there, they began to speak amongst themselves, who will intimate the king of our arrival? The sun is up and we do not see the king amongst us as yet. All articles necessary for the installation of the intelligent Rama are ready. While they were thus conversing, the charioteer Sumantra, well respected by the king, reached there and spoke unto all those persons and the kings the following words. With the king's permission I am going to bring Rama speedily here. Worshipful you are all to the king and specially to Rama, I shall with your words, ask the king of his sound sleep, and then of the reasons for his not coming here as yet though up from the bed. Saying thus, Sumantra, versed in legends, arrived at the gate of the royal seraglio. And he entered the palace with its open gates, and having entered the apartment of the Lord of Earth he went into his sleeping room, and placing himself behind a screen near at hand, addressed the descendant of Raghu thus, pleasing him with blessings fraught with good unto him, O Kakotstha, may the moon, sun, Shiva, wise Ravana, the god of wealth, Varuna, the god of water, Agni and Indra grant thee victory. The worshipful night is gone and blessed morn has arrived. Arise, O thou great king, and perform morning ablutions. Brahmanas, commanders and merchants are assembled at the palace gate, desirous of seeing thee. Do thou therefore arise, O descendant of Raghu. Perceiving from the voice that it was charioteer Sumantra versed in good counsels, who was thus eulogizing, the king rose up from his bed and thus addressed him, O charioteer, bring Rama here, was the order I gave thee. What is it that makes thee neglect my command? I am not asleep, go and bring up Rama here instantly. Saying this, King Dasaratha dispatched Sumantra again. Hearing the words of the king and bowing him with his head down, he issued out of the king's residence, thinking that some great good was awaiting. And having reached the public roads adorned with flags and pennons, he, filled with an excess of joy, began to wend his way, casting his look around. There on his way he heard the passers-by, all talking about Rama and his installation, as if brimming with joy on that account. Then proceeding a little, Sumantra saw the beautiful palace of Rama towering like the Kailas hill and resembling the abode of Sakra. It was closed with two big panels at the gateway, of which the trapdoor was flung open, and adorned with hundreds of terraces. On its top were many idols made of gold, and arches crested with pearls and diamonds. Its color was white as the autumnal cloud and bright as the golden cave of Sumeru. It was ornamented with highly brilliant jewels set in the garlands of gold flowers and strewn with pearls and diamonds and sprinkled with sandal and aguru, the fragrance of which captivates the mind. Like the summit of the hill Dadura, it was graced with the presence of sargas and peacocks emitting pleasant sounds, and covered with well-made figures of wolves and pictures of artistic excellence, the splendor of which captivates the mind and the eye as well, bright as the sun and moon, resembling the abode of Kuvara and the capital of the king of the celestials. Filled with birds of various kinds and high as the summit of Sumeru, Sumantra saw the palace filled with people coming from different quarters with clasped hands, and adorned with citizens approaching with various presents and eager to see the installation of Rama and standing at the gate, being prevented by the warders to enter, resembling a huge cloud, of picturesque situation, spacious, strewn with pearls and diamonds and crowded with servants. That charioteer, in his chariot with its wooden ledge and horses, beautifying the crowded streets and pleasing the citizens, entered the abode of Rama. Thereupon arriving at this abode filled with wealth, and having its beauty greatly intensified with deer and peacocks, moving to and fro, resembling the exquisitely splendid palace of the Lord of the Celestials, that charioteer was extremely enraptured, having the hairs of the body erect. Then that charioteer entering several apartments, well adorned and resembling the Kailas hill and the abode of the celestials, and passing by many persons, dear unto Rama and abiding in his purpose, entered the apartment of the ladies. And he became exceedingly pleased on hearing pleasant words, meaning well unto the son of the king, from all persons, engaged in some sort of service for the installation. He saw the pleasant abode of Rama, resembling that of Mahendra, and filled with deer and birds, having its top high as the summit of Meru and situated well in splendor, and the gateway filled with millions of citizens with clasped hands keeping their conveyances outside and coming from various quarters with presents for Rama. He saw there a wild elephant by the name of Satrunjaya, or the conqueror of foes, having a huge body resembling a mountain enveloped in dark clouds, beautiful, capable of bearing the goading hook and intended as Rama's conveyance. He saw well-adorned ministers dear unto the king with horses, chariots and elephants, and leaving them all on either side, entered unprevented, like unto the marine monster Makra entering the ocean containing many pearls and diamonds, the splendid apartment of the ladies, resembling the clouds that hover over the summit of the hill Himadri, and having a number of beautiful houses comparing with great celestial cars. Section 16. Sumantra, well versed in legends, after passing by the gateways crowded with people, reached the solitary apartment of Rama, having youthful warders, carrying darts and bows wearing earrings, cautious, attentive and devoted, and saw, seated at the gate, several old men commanding female warders, mindful of duty, wearing red cloths and excellent ornaments, and having rattans in their hands. They all seeing Sumantra, ever wishing good unto Rama, approach, rose suddenly up from their seats with due respect. The humble-minded charioteer then said to them, Go and speedily communicate unto Rama that Sumantra is waiting at the gate. At this the warders, desirous of doing good unto their master, nearing Rama, speedily communicated these words unto him who was in the company of his wife. Rama, hearing of the arrival of his father's charioteer, ordered him to enter into the apartment, having his father's pleasure in view. He, on entering, saw Rama resembling wise Ravana, well adorned and seated on a gold sofa, with a beautiful coverlet on, having his body sprinkled with holy and fragrant sandal of the best kind, red as the blood of a hog, and having by him Sita with a chauri in her hand, like moon himself in the company of Chitra. Whereupon Sumantra, acquainted with decorum, humbly saluted him, Rama, the conferrer of great boons, and resplendent like the midday sun, and he well honored by the king, seeing the king's son seated on the sleeping sofa with a delighted countenance, spoke these words unto him with clasped hands, O Rama, great son of Kausalya, thy father and the queen Kaikeyi want to see thee, so it behoveth thee to go there without delay. Being pleased with these words, the mighty hero of great effulgence, honored his father's behest and spoke unto Sita thus, O darling, doubt there is none that my father, going to Kaikeyi, is parleying with her regarding my installation. Conceiving the king's intention, that clever lady, of dark eyes and desirous of doing good unto the king, that mother, the daughter of the king of Kaikeyi, pleased and intent upon king's welfare as well as upon that of mine, is hastening the monarch for my installation. Fortunately for me, the monarch in the company of his queen has dispatched Sumantra, intent upon my welfare. Worthy of the meeting at the inner apartment, the messenger has come, and I doubt not that the monarch shall install me today as the heir apparent of his throne. Therefore I shall speedily go hence and see my father. Do thou remain and enjoy here the company of thy friends. Regarded by her husband, Sita, of dark eyes and intent upon her husband's welfare, followed him to the entrance and said, May the great monarch bestow upon thee first the heir apparentship, and afterwards the dignity of the paramount power, like Brahma, granting kingdom unto Vasva. I shall be ministering unto thee, seeing thee initiated, engaged in ceremonies, wearing excellent deerskin for cloth and carrying horns in the hands. May Indra protect thee on the east, may Yam, death, protect thee on the south, and Varuna, god of water, on the west, and Kuvara, god of wealth, on the north. Being greeted with benedictory ceremonies, Rama, bidding farewell to Sita, issued out of his house like unto a lion, living in the den of a mountain. He saw Lakshmana standing at the gate with clasped hands, and met all his friends assembled at the middle apartment. Then that great son of the king, casting a glance upon them all who were present there to see him, and pleasing them with sweet words ascended, like unto the thousand-eyed Indra, the splendid chariot, made of silver and coated with tiger skin, and bright, like the fire itself, making a noise when going, like the roaring of clouds, defying all obstacles, adorned with jewels and gold, dazzling the eyesight and bright like the golden peaks of Sumeru. It had 2 excellent horses tied to it like unto 2 young elephants, and was of quick motion, resembling that of Indra's chariot carried by his horses. Ascending the car, Raghava, of great effulgence, went speedily on, making the space resound like unto the muttering clouds of the sky. He issued out of his abode like the beautiful moon passing through a huge cloud. And Lakshmana, the younger brother of Raghava, standing behind him on the car with a splendid chauri in his hand, began to guard his body. And there was caused a great tumult by the crowd gathering around on the issuing out of Rama. Then followed in his train many hundreds and thousands of beautiful horses and elephants resembling hills in their appearance, and went before him hundreds of heroes, well accoutred, and having their bodies sprinkled with sandal and aguru, and holding swords and arms in their hands, and other persons uttering benedictions. He heard on the way sounds of musical instruments, eulogy of the panegyrists, and lion-like roars of heroes. Exquisitely beautiful damsels, adorned with various ornaments and dressed, standing by the windows began to shower flowers upon the head of the foe-destroyer Rama, and those spotless beauties with a view to please Rama, some standing on the buildings and some on the ground began to praise him, O thou, delight of thy mother, surely has Mother Kausalya become exceedingly gratified, on seeing thee of successful journey to accept the heir apparentship of the throne. Those ladies thought that Sita, the captivator of Rama's heart, was surely the best of all women, and for certain had she performed some great austerities in her past life, for else she would not have been the companion of Rama, like unto Rohini, the companion of moon. That best among men heard these pleasant words from those ladies standing on the buildings and on highways. Raghava then heard the people coming from different quarters and the well-pleased citizens, talking amongst themselves regarding him in the following strain. This Raghava going shall obtain through the grace of the king great wealth, and all our desires will be gratified when he will become our governor. It is a great gain to the subjects that he is going to get forever the entire empire at once, he being the lord of the people. Nobody shall witness any misfortune or unpleasant thing. Like unto wise Ravana he began to proceed, being dignified by the horses and elephants going before, sending forth great sound, and eulogized in various meters by persons singing his glory, by the panegyrists and by men tracing his noble ancestry. He saw the courtyard thronged with young and old elephants, horses, chariots, and the highways crowded all over with people, many pearls and various merchandises. Section 17. Rama, having his friends delighted, ascending the car, and viewing the city adorned with pennons and flags and incensed with dhupa and aguru, entered the highway, crowded with people and containing houses colored as the pale white clouds, and the place between the 2 rows whereof scented with dhupa and aguru. It was a splendidly spacious road decorated with a collection of sandal, aguru and other fine scents, with silk and red cloth, with pearls hold and other valuable crystals, and strewn with various flowers and filled with edibles multiform. Like unto the Lord of Celestials in heaven he saw this highway, and the courtyard covered with curd, clarified butter, fried paddy, dhupa, aguru and sandal, and embellished with garlands and other scents. Having heard benedictions uttered by many in the following strain and paying proper respects unto all, he wended his way. Being installed this day, do thou following in the footsteps of thy father and grandfathers cherish and protect us. Thou taking the reins of government, we shall live more happily than what we were under your ancestors. Seek not we earthly comforts or the highest things in the life to come, if we can only see Rama installed in the kingdom issuing out from his father's abode. There is nothing more pleasant to us than the installation of the highly energetic Rama on the throne. Rama, hearing these and other auspicious words from his friends eulogizing his own self, went on his way without being moved. Raghava passed away, but not a single person could withdraw his eyes and mind from that best of men. In fact, he who did not see Rama, and whom Rama did not see, was looked down by all, and he considered himself contemptible. That righteous one showed mercy unto all, old and young, of the four castes, and hence, they were all obedient to him. He proceeded, leaving on his left side the junctions of four roads, the paths leading to temples, the religious fig trees and altars, and reached after all the family dwelling of the king, with its palatial tops piercing the sky, looking beautiful, resembling mass of clouds, white as the celestial cars and high as the hill Kailas, and with sporting houses adorned with pearls. And the son of the monarch, shining in beauty, entered into the palace of his father, the best on earth, resembling the abode of Mahendra. Dasaratha's son, the best of men, crossed in his chariot 3 apartments guarded by warriors with bows in their hands, and other 2 on foot, and in this way passing by all, and ordering his followers to go back, entered the inner apartment. That son of the king entering into the presence of his father, all were extremely gladdened and were eagerly expecting his return, like unto the Lord of water expecting the appearance of the moon. Section 18. Rama saw his father, seated on a beautiful sofa with Kaikeyi, looking sorry and poorly and with his countenance dried up. And humbly bowing down at the feet of his father first, he saluted Kaikeyi with due solemnity. Uttering the word, Rama, only, the poor king with his eyes full of tears could not eye him nor could he speak to him. Seeing this unforeseen and terrible appearance of the king like unto a serpent trampled underfoot, Rama was exceedingly terrified. He was dejected and pulled down much with sorrow and penitence. He was sighing hot and hard, and his heart was greatly pained. His heart was troubled like the wavy ocean, agitating though incapable of agitation, and clouded like the sun possessed by wrath, and that of an ascetic speaking falsehood. Thinking of this unthought of sorrow of the king, he became agitated like unto the ocean during the course of the full moon. And clever Rama, intent on his father's welfare, thought within himself, why does not the king display joy on my arrival today? Angry though he used to express joy whenever he saw me, then why does his sorrow prevail even seeing me today? Being pressed with sorrow, Rama of pale countenance, like one miserable, saluting Kaikeyi, spoke unto her the following words. Is it not that I committed some offense through ignorance that I see my father angry? Do thou propitiate him therefore. Why is his mind so aggrieved who was so kind to me, and why does he look poorly and of pale countenance who used to welcome me always with kind words? Is he subject to any physical or mental disturbance? Oh, happiness uninterrupted is very dear. Has any evil befallen the good-looking Bharata or high-souled Satrughna? Is it not all well with my mothers? Dissatisfying the king, disregarding his words and offending him, I do not want to breathe for a single moment. How can a man disregard him who is God himself seen and felt, and who is looked upon as a cause from whom he has sprung? O mother, hast thou spoken any harsh word to my father either through anger or through haughtiness for which his mind is thus pulled down? O worshipful one, tell me all this, who am exceedingly anxious to get at the real truth. Why has this unforeseen sorrow overtaken the heart of the Lord of men? Being thus addressed by the high-souled Raghava, that exceedingly shameless Kaikeyi spoke unto him the following impudent words, fraught with her self-interest. O Rama, the monarch is not angry nor has any danger befallen him. He has got something in his mind which he cannot speak out through thy fear. Thou art his most beloved son, and word does not proceed from his mouth to speak thee things unpleasant. But it behoveth thee to carry out what the monarch has promised unto me. Formerly regarding me very highly he conferred on me 2 boons, and he now repents for that like a common person. Promising, I give thee, the Lord of earth granted me these boons, in vain he wishes to set up a dike when all the water has passed away. O Rama, it is known to thee that truth is the root of all religion, and may he not renounce that for thee, being angry with me. If do thou carry out all that the king will speak to thee, good or evil, then I shall relate unto thee everything. If what I, with the king's permission, speak to thee, does not go useless, I shall speak unto thee all, the king will not speak anything. Hearing these words uttered by Kaikeyi, Rama, pained at heart, spoke unto her in the presence of the king in the following way, O shame to me! May it not please thee, O worshipful lady, to speak such words to me. I can at the king's words jump into the fire. Being ordered by him, who is my father and who is my king especially, I can drink virulent poison and drown into the ocean. Speak thou, O worshipful lady, what is the desire of thy king, and know that I shall carry it out. Rama does not contradict what he has once spoken. Then that wicked Kaikeyi spoke these highly cruel words unto Rama, simple and truthful. Formerly in a great war between the gods and Asuras, thy father, being wounded with shafts was tended by me, for which he conferred upon me 2 boons. Of these 2 boons I have asked of the king the installation of Bharata, and the departure of Raghava into the Dandaka forest even this very day. O thou, best among men, if do thou wish to keep thy father's woes as well as thine, hear what I say. Thy father is bound unto me by promise, obeying therefore thy father's mandate, do thou repair unto the forest for 9 years and 5. Bharata shall be installed, or Raghava, by all those articles which have been brought by the monarch for thy installation. Forsaking this installation, do thou repair unto the Dandaka forest for 7 and 7 years and wear bark and matted hair. And herein this Kosla, let Bharata govern the world, adorned with many pearls and diamonds, with elephants, horses and chariots. The king, filled with pity and having his face marked with the affliction of sorrow, cannot cast a glance upon thee. O thou descendant of Raghu, do thou carry out these words of the Lord of men and save him by redeeming these great woes of his. Hearing these cruel words of her, Rama was not grieved, but the generous king, afflicted with the thought of the approaching separation with his son, was greatly pained. Section 19. Hearing these unpleasant words like unto death, Rama, the destroyer of foes, was not pained, and spoke thus unto Kaikeyi. Be it what thou sayest, carrying out the promise of the king, I shall repair unto the forest from this place, wearing bark and matted hair. Now I want to know only why that Lord of the earth, invincible and the conqueror of foes, does not receive me in the same way as he used to do on previous occasion. Be not angry, O worshipful one, I speak before thee. Be thou propitiated well, and I shall go to the forest wearing bark and matted hair. What is there that I cannot perform, considering it good without suspicion, if I am ordered so by my well-wisher, spiritual leader, father and king, who acknowledges thy service rendered in time of danger? But this one sorrow burns my heart, why the king did not tell me personally of the installation of Bharata. What of the command of the king, my father? I shall even at thy mandate joyfully make over unto Bharata, my kingdom, Sita, wealth and even my life, thereby satisfying thee, and fulfilling my promise. Do thou now console the bashful king. Why has he, with his eyes steadily fixed on the ground, been shedding tears slowly? Let messengers, with fast-going steeds, go today at the command of the king to fetch Bharata from his maternal uncle's house. And I shall, not even judging the propriety of my father's words, speedily repair unto the forest of Dandaka for 14 years. Hearing those words of Rama, Kaikeyi was pleased, and being certain about his departure, hurried on Raghava. Let it be that messengers with fast-going steeds shall go to bring Bharata from his maternal uncle's residence. I do not think it proper for thee, O Rama, to delay, when thou art so anxious. It behoves thee therefore to depart from this place speedily unto the forest. The king being abashed, does not himself address thee, there is nothing else than this. Do thou, O best of men, dispel this wretchedness of his. As long as thou shalt not hurriedly depart from his presence, O Rama, thy father shall not bathe, or eat anything. O fie! What affliction! Sobbing hard with these words, the monarch, filled with sorrow, swooned away and fell down upon the sofa, embellished with gold. Raising the king up, Rama, being directed by Kaikeyi, began to hurry on his departure to the forest, like unto a steed struck sharp with a whip. Hearing those cruel and unpleasant words of the wicked Kaikeyi, Rama, not being distressed, began to address her with the following words. O worshipful one, being addicted to wealth, do I not long for living in this world, like unto rishis? Know me, to be well established in pure religion. If I can, even at the sacrifice of my own life, satisfy my worshipful father, rest assured it is to be done first in all manner. There is no virtue greater than the serving of the Father and carrying out his words. Even though not commanded by him, I shall, for thy words, live in a solitary forest for 14 years. O Kaikeyi, certain it is that thou art not acquainted with my foremost virtues, inasmuch as possessing full authority to rule me, thou hast requested the monarch for this. Excuse me until I ask my mother, and comfort Sita. Even this very day shall I wend my way unto the great forest of Dandaka. It behoves thee to do that by which Bharata may govern the kingdom and tend our father, for this is the virtue eternal. Hearing these words of Rama, his father, greatly afflicted and incapable of speaking anything on account of sorrow, began to cry aloud. Worshipping the feet of the king lying insensible, and those of vicious Kaikeyi, that greatly effulgent one went out, and reverentially going round his father and Kaikeyi, and issuing out of the female apartment, Rama saw his own friends and relatives. Then followed him Lakshmana, the enhancer of Sumitra's joy, greatly angry and with his eyes full of tears. Going round with reverence the house of installation full of necessary articles, not turning away from it his wistful look, Rama began to proceed slowly. Loss of kingdom could not diminish the great beauty of that beloved of the people on account of its everlasting pleasantness, like unto the wane of the moon. There was manifest in him no change of mind, who was about to fly as an exile to the forest and leave the world, like unto one emancipated while yet living. Leaving aside the excellent umbrella and well-adorned chauris, forsaking his relatives, chariot, citizens and other people, calmly bearing the affliction in mind and not manifesting the outward signs of sorrow, Rama, with a view to communicate this unpleasant news to his mother, entered her abode. All persons, who were present there and who adorned themselves on account of the installation, did not perceive any sign of mental agony on the face of Rama. Like unto the rays of the fully brilliant autumnal moon, that hero of mighty arms, having control over himself, did not forsake his native cheerfulness. The pious Rama, having high fame, entered into the presence of his mother, manifesting great regards for the people with sweet speech. Then followed him, the son of Sumitra, of mighty prowess, of equal accomplishments with his brother, and bearing the mental sorrow. Rama, entering the abode of his mother, saw it filled with all sorts of amusements, and even though his mind was not agitated with any mental disturbance seeing the impending calamity of loss of wealth, he was anxious lest the lives of his dear relatives might be in danger. Section 20. There arose a great uproar of cry in the apartment of the females, when that best of men went out with clasped hands. That Rama, who used to serve all the females in all matters even without his father's permission, who was our stay and protector, is going to the forest. Raghava from his birth pays as much attention to us as to his mother Kausalya. He, who being cursed, does not get angry, pacifies the wrathful and studiously avoids words and deeds that excite anger in others, will repair hence this day unto the forest. Senseless is our king, who forsakes Raghava, who is the stay of all people, and thus kills his subjects. Thus the queens of Dasaratha, like unto the cows that have lost their young ones, began to blame him and cry aloud. Hearing this terrible uproar of cry in the female apartment, that lord of earth, racked with sorrow on account of his son, hid himself in the seat, with head hanging downwards. Rama too, having control over his own self, experiencing sorrow for his relatives and sobbing like an enchained elephant, entered into his mother's apartment together with his brother. He saw a venerable old man, sitting at the gate and many other persons. All those present, seeing Rama, began to shower benedictions on him, the best of all victorious heroes, saying, "Victory unto thee." Having passed through the first apartment he saw in the second, many old Brahmans, versed in the Vedas and honored by the king. Having bowed down unto them, Rama saw in the third apartment, women, boys, and old men, all engaged in watching the gate. The female warders honored Rama rejoicing, and entering his mother's apartment, communicated unto her speedily this pleasant news. Worshipful Kausalya, seeking her son's welfare, kept up the whole night being absorbed in meditation, and was, in the morning, worshipping the god Vishnu. Wearing silk cloth, pleased, and accustomed to the performance of religious rites every day, she, performing benedictory ceremonies, was offering oblation unto the fire. Rama entering the auspicious abode of his mother beheld her thus engaged in the sacrifice to the fire. The descendant of Raghu saw there, brought for the service of the celestials, curd, grains, clarified butter, sweetmeats, things fit for oblations unto the fire, fried paddy, white garlands, rice boiled in milk and sugar, rice sesamum and pea mixtures, sacrificial fuels and jars full of water. He saw his virtuous mother wearing white silk, pulled down by the austere performance of religious rites, and engaged in propitiating the deities with the offering of water. She, seeing her son, ever advancing the joy of his mother, approach, became pleased, and stepped forward like unto a mare beholding her young one. Seeing his mother approach, Raghava bowed low, and Kausalya, embracing him in her arms, smelt his head. Kausalya, out of motherly affection, spoke these sweet and beneficent words unto her own invincible son, Raghava. Mayst thou obtain the life and fame of the pious, old Rajarshis, and the virtue worthy of thy family. See, O Raghava, how truthful is your father the king. That virtuous souled one shall install thee this day as the heir apparent of the throne. Raghava, humble by nature, who was offered by his mother a seat and asked by her to eat something, stretching forth a little his clasped hands, and with his head downwards with a view to show respect towards his mother, touched the seat, and began to relate unto her the object of his repairing unto the Dandaka forest. O worshipful one, certain it is that thou knowest not the great impending calamity. It is for the distress of thine, Lakshmana and Vaidehi, that shall I wend my way unto the Dandaka forest. What is the use of a seat to me then? Now is the time come when I deserve a seat made of kusa grass. I shall live in the forest for 14 years, abstaining from animal food and living on tuberous roots and fruits like unto the ascetics. The king shall confer upon Bharata the heir apparentship and shall banish me as an ascetic into the forest. And I shall live in that solitary forest for 8 and 6 years, feasting on roots and fruits and performing the duties of a hermit. Like unto the stem of a sala tree cut asunder by an axe in a wood, like unto a female celestial, fallen down from the abode of the gods, she fell down suddenly, hearing these heart-rending words. Rama, seeing his mother, who deserved no distress, fall down like a plantain tree and insensible, raised her up, and finding her covered with dust all over her body like unto a mare risen up after rolling on the ground on account of toil of bearing heavy burden, wiped off her body gently with his hand. She, deserving happiness, being racked with the destruction of her delight, spoke thus unto Raghava, that best of men, in the presence of Lakshmana. O my son, O Raghava, hadst thou not been born for my grief, I would have been sonless only, but would not have been subject to this greater grief. A sonless woman has only one cause of mental affliction. Her only sorrow is, I have no child, and nothing else, my son. I have not experienced in my life that blessing and pleasure which women generally feel when their husbands are devoted to them. I have sustained my life so long, O Rama, only with the hope that I shall witness this and other happiness when I shall have a son. Myself, being the eldest of all the queens, shall have to hear unpleasant and heart-rending words from the Kauravas who are all younger than I. There can be no greater misery for women than this, my boundless grief and lamentations. Thou being present, they have reduced me to this miserable plight. I do not know what else they will do. Thou being away, there is death certain for me, O my darling. Being disregarded by my husband, I have been greatly insulted. I am equal to the maidservants of Kaikeyi or even inferior to them. Those who serve me or are obedient unto me, shall not even speak with me when they will see the son of Kaikeyi installed. She is always of fretful temper. How shall I, reduced to misery on account of thy exile, eye the face of Kaikeyi, uttering harsh words? I have spent, O Raghava, 10 years and 7 from thy second birth, expecting a termination of my sorrow. Even though worn out, O Raghava, I shall not be able to suffer this great misery consequent upon thy unending exile and the contempt of the convives. How shall I, of miserable life, pass my days in grief, not seeing thy face, effulgent like unto the full moon? Wretched as I am, in vain have I brought thee up with fasts, contemplations, and many other toilsome austerities. Surely, I consider my heart is very hard, as it does not rend like unto the bank of a great river in contact with new water in the rainy season. There is no death for me, no vacant place in the abode of Yam, otherwise why does not death take me away like unto a lion snatching away a weeping hen? Certain it is that my heart is made of iron, as it does not rend, nor does my body, being pressed down with this sorrow and falling down on earth, break into pieces. Verily have I no death before time. This distresses me that all my religious vows, almsgivings, self-restraint and austerity, performed with a view of obtaining a son, have been fruitless, like unto the seeds thrown on a barren soil. If anybody in this life, being pressed down with some great calamity, could meet with death of his own accord, I would have instantly gone to the abode of death, being cut off from thee like unto a cow from her young one. O thou, having a countenance of moon-like splendor, wretched indeed is my life without thee. I shall follow thee to the forest out of great affection, like unto an enfeebled cow following her young one. Kausalya, like a canary unable to bear this great calamity, anticipating some great misfortune and seeing Rama bound with a great vow, began to lament in various ways. If you enjoyed this audiobook, please like and subscribe to be notified of when new audiobooks are uploaded. Thank you for listening and learning. Shanti.